A villain who outdates the birth of the Marvel Universe, he is the Adversary. He is an ancient trickster, the bringer of chaos, and a demonic energy whose greatest desire is to create a universe of pitch darkness that is free from the complexities and uncertainty of the current world of light and life. He was also one of the first servants of the Celestials who watched over the Infinity Stones, and in this video, we will explore the backstory, history, powers, and future of this legendary villain. So get ready to witness some devilish acts and trickery.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Fascinating backstory of Adversary. A red alien stabbed the brain of a guard and absorbed his memories. Soon, the guard withered away while the alien took his human form. This was an alien of the dire Wraith race, and we mention him because his ability would play an important role for the Adversary. An army of these Wraith aliens had appeared on Earth to conquer humans, and one of them attacked Aurora. Thankfully, Naze arrived on time to save her. But who is Naze, and why does he matter? Well, Naze is a Cheyenne Indian who has fought the Adversary before and has trained Forge to do the same. He was in Forge's Sanctum Sanctorium while the X-Men arrived to handle the aliens, and there he summoned a mystical energy. This was the Adversary. The Adversary recalled his fights with Naze and pointed out that his current body possessed an alien spirit. A Wraith alien had actually killed the real Naze and impersonated him, and this situation was perfect for Adversary's evil plans. So he immediately possessed the body and took control of the alien soul. This is how the Adversary made his first appearance. But who is he exactly? He is a formless, deceptive being who comes from a dimension of chaos, and he wishes to merge with Earth's dimension. He is a trickster, and he is devilish. He also likes to play with the fate of the cosmos for sheer enjoyment, and his ultimate goal is to establish a universe that would be under his control. He is also not some new entity, but an ancient being whose existence was long known to the Cheyenne Indians, so they trained their shaman Forge since his birth to fight him. Hence, he considers Forge to be a great threat to him. This is why gaining Naze's body was extremely beneficial for him, because he can now easily gain others' trust to execute his deceptive plans. Marvelous story arc of Adversary. The current design of the universe was not satisfying to the Adversary's nerves. He wanted a better universe, or to be precise, he wanted a more perfect universe for himself. He saw himself as a weaver. The fates of the mortals were his strands of yarn. Hence, he was only concerned with opening and weaving these strands until the universe was perfected, and the fate of others while doing so did not matter to him at all. He was also ready to weave the universe over and over again until it pleased him. So he finally decided to destroy the current universe and willfully ignored the billions of lives that would die for his goals. He planned to achieve this by burning away all the energy that all things are composed of. But Cheyenne Indians were aware of this, and they planned to bring him down. They called him the Great Trickster because he played tricks to fulfill his motives, but the true strength of his powers remained unknown even to them. They did not know whether the Adversary could actually destroy the universe, whether he was older than the universe and was able to create one, or whether he was responsible for the destruction of the last universe. But they did know he needed to be stopped and that only magic could successfully harm him. So the responsibility to save the universe fell on the shoulders of our Cheyenne shaman Naze, and he became the lifelong opponent of the Adversary. Naze carried on his legacy by training Forge to someday replace him as the Adversary's powerful opponent, but Forge eventually gave up his shaman life and began working for the United States government. Then, as told earlier, the Adversary possessed Naze's body and began with his plan. We will now refer to the Adversary as Imposter Naze for this story arc. So months after the Wraith attack, he chanced to meet Storm alone while Forge was missing and succeeded in convincing her that Forge was trying to destroy the world while working for the Adversary. His deceptive plan was now finally set into motion. Imposter Naze then took Storm to the mountains on a fake quest to free Forge from the enslavement of the Adversary. He also convinced Storm that she must kill Forge if the situation asked for it, to which she agreed despite being in love with him. After a long journey, they finally reached Forge's location, but Imposter Naze stood back and gave the excuse that Forge was expecting his arrival and had set up alarms and defenses against him, but she could easily bypass them, so she should go and face him alone now. Storm also did not have her mutant powers, so he guided her to stab Forge the moment he became vulnerable upon seeing her. However, Storm was only acting as a pawn in the Adversary's game of getting rid of his greatest threat, but she was unaware of it. She fought a lot of demons on her way to meet Forge and finally found him near the dimensional gate where the demons were appearing. Imposter Naze had made her believe that Forge had opened the gate of chaos to consume the world, but in reality, he had opened this dimensional portal when he had fought in the Vietnam War. All his men had died in this war, and he was compelled to open this dimension and bring in demons to take revenge for his dead comrades. Unaware that Forge was actually there to close the portal, Storm stabbed him. By the time he told her the truth, it was too late because they were both drawn into the gateway and transported into a parallel dimension of Earth where no humans existed. With this, the adversary got rid of the only two people who were capable of stopping him. Can you guess now what his next step was for his evil goal? Well, all of the known dimensions are guarded and taken care of by a goddess named Roma, and her home is the Starlight Citadel in the Otherworld. So his next great step was to capture her, but another interesting thing was also happening in the meantime. Storm had managed to tend the stab wound and keep Forge alive, whereas he gave back Storm the powers that had been taken away from her because of his device. And then they worked together to escape their prison dimension. However, their escape was short-lived because soon after, the adversary imprisoned them again in the Starlight Citadel along with Roma. He had also caused chaos in the world by jumbling the elements of different time periods at Eagle Plaza, the research facility of Forge. The X-Men fought this chaos, and then they reached the dimension of the Citadel along with their friend Madeline Pryor and a reporter named Conan, who had been broadcasting their fights until now. The only logical step now was to invade the Starlight Citadel, and that's exactly what our heroes did. X-Men attacked the adversary, and his prisoners took this opportunity to free themselves. The adversary then abandoned the imposter Naze form and revealed his true demonic form, while the X-Men struggled to match his power in the fight because all physical attacks were useless on him. Only Forge's shaman powers could now win this battle, but there was a catch. The X-Men had to die. But why? Well, Forge had opened the Great Gate by harnessing the spirits of his dead comrades without their permission, and the only way to reverse this action was to use the freely given Soul Force. So the X-Men had to willingly sacrifice their lives for Forge to cast this spell, to which everyone agreed. Then he chanted his spells to gather their energies into a miniature star, and then he flung it on the adversary. This sealed him away into a mystical portal. Forge then returned to Earth with the reporter Conan, and things soon took a turn for the better because Roma used her powers to revive the X-Men and Madeline Pryor, who had also sacrificed herself. This was still not the end for the adversary because sometime later, when Forge had become the leader of the mutant team called X-Factor, he was reborn into this world as the child of the villainess Haven, but he was once again defeated by Forge. Now, what does the future hold for the adversary? We will discuss this right after having a look at his great powers, so keep watching. Powers and abilities of adversary. The adversary lives up to his name and poses himself as the greatest opponent. The fact that he is not bound by physical limitations makes him capable of virtually any power. He's a being of energy, which makes him immune to physical attacks, and the massive amount of energy that he wields makes him formidable in fights. He is also a master of disguise because he can take on any form, and although his real form seems to be a demonic shadow with glowing eyes, there is a possibility that this was also a disguise. Additionally, he is also capable of traveling through dimensions and summoning demons to do his bidding. The adversary has unlimited magical powers to aid his superhuman strength and stamina, and he might look like an invulnerable being, but even he is weak at something. Can you guess it? It is iron. Yes, this invincible villain is weak to iron, as well as steel and adamantium, and of course, the magical powers of the shaman. The future of Adversary in Marvel Comics. The adversary has made several appearances, but he was soon dealt with by either Forge or Storm. However, he has most recently made a full-fledged return to face the future MCU hero called Echo and steal her Phoenix power. Her real name is Maya Lopez, and she has so far spent her career as a street-level hero and ally of Daredevil, but things are about to change with the return of the most powerful villain of the X-Men. When the Phoenix Force arrived on Earth, it staged a contest to find its new host, and Echo was also a participant in it. She was left dying on the ocean floor in this contest, but the Phoenix bound itself to her because it was drawn to her sufferings and abilities. She had now become the Phoenix's host. When she returned to her tribal land, a storyteller named Riverwalker warned her about an encounter with a shadow. You must have already guessed that this shadow is the Adversary. He has once again returned, and this time, Forge is not his only enemy because the power of the Phoenix is also capable of defeating him. His return is also important for Echo, since the X-Men have been skeptical of a non-mutant wielding such great power, and an encounter with her greatest enemy can help her cement her position as the Phoenix's host. Marvelous verdict. If you have enjoyed the Adversary's evil plans and story so far, and have not yet read the Phoenix Song Echo comic, then I highly recommend it. Also, let us know in the comments if you would like to see the Adversary in future issues, and if you like exploration videos such as this, make sure to check out our other videos on different villains and heroes.